Thanks for inviting us in on this election night here in Indiana. The results that we're covering determine control of the House and Senate and the direction of our country.
Now here in Indiana, we've been monitoring results closely since the polls closed at 6. And we've got team coverage tonight. Jenny Runovich is covering Senator Todd Young's re-election victory.
Our Sierra Putman is at the Marion County election headquarters tonight. That's where all the votes are being tallied. We've got Dustin Grove in our newsroom right now. He's tracking the balance of power. We're going to get to all of that for you in a moment, but let's begin our team coverage tonight with Emily Longnecker, who's covering the biggest story here in Marion County, the race for prosecutor. Emily?
Hey, Scott and Felicia. Yeah, I'm joined by Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears. Thanks very much for being here. Look, this was a tough campaign. I mean, your opponent said that Indy and Marion County was not safe, and it was happening under your watch. You addressed that a little bit tonight when you took the stage. Can you talk about that?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is it's really easy to demonize people. It's more difficult to come up with concrete solutions to some of the challenges that we're facing in our community. And very clearly, the voters of Marion County said that we'd like to see solutions and real answers. Look, we all understand that we have issues in the criminal justice system, but we need to have a substantive discussion about those challenges and problems. And just trying to demonize the other side doesn't advance the ball or move towards our goal of making our community more safe.
You said during this campaign that one of the most pressing issues was you felt that people did not trust the criminal justice system. Do you still believe that, and how do you address that?
Well, certainly we believe that. There's not a homicide or a non-fatal shooting that has occurred in Marion County where someone somewhere doesn't know what happened. It's just a matter of what can we do to try to get that individual to come forward. And that's why that element of trust is so important. And so we're going to continue to invest in those community relationships. We have fantastic partnerships with our faith-based organizations as well as people doing the work in the community all around the city. But we need to continue to build on that so more people will come forward with information.
Prosecutor Mears, you didn't get the endorsement of the Indiana FOP. So is there amending offenses that needs to happen there, because you have to work with law enforcement going forward?
Well, I feel very fortunate. I get to work with IMPD every single day, and we have a 90% conviction rate as it relates to homicide cases, and almost every single time the first person we call as a witness is someone from IMPD. So we have a great relationship with IMPD. There's a tension with the FOP because occasionally we have to hold police officers accountable, and the FOP doesn't like that, but that's our role, and I think the community very clearly stated that they appreciate our independentness, our independent nature.
Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears, thank you so much for being here. So you heard it here, Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears saying the voters here in Marion County wanted real solutions. We got a statement also tonight from his challenger, Cindy Carrasco, who said, she knew that this would be an uphill climb, challenging him in a county that is a traditionally blue county, but even though that she lost, that they had shaped the narrative, and she hoped that Prosecutor Mears would use the trust that voters had placed in him to make real changes in the criminal justice system. We go now to my colleague Jenny Runovich, who is over at Republican headquarters. Jenny?
Yeah, Emily, let's talk about the U.S. Senate race. There was a victory speech that came early tonight for U.S. Senator Todd Young. He won a wide margin over Hammond Mayor challenger Tom McDermott, and so he will serve another 6 years in the U.S. Senate, headed back for a second term in Washington. McDermott saying, you know what, I just didn't have enough money to mount a decent fight in this race, didn't get enough money from folks in Washington, but Senator Young is headed back to Washington. He really bounded up on stage to thank supporters here at the JW Marriott earlier this evening. In his speech, Young said victory came early this election night because the Biden administration has made bad choices. He said they need to stop reckless spending and enforce the law, something he says he plans to continue to push for in his next term as senator. Young had a front-runner strategy, huge fundraising advantage, and he really focused his campaign on the economy and on inflation. That clearly resonated with Hoosier voters, and now he says he's ready to get back to work.
Thank you to every single Hoosier who invested their trust in me, and to everyone who was willing to give me a chance of earning it. I'm going to work tirelessly over the next 6 years to ensure that I live up to your high expectations, to ensure that we yield the sort of accomplishments that you deserve. Not rhetoric, but results that are worthy of the efforts of each and every person who made this victory possible.
Todd Young was just one of a few candidates who was not endorsed by former President Donald Trump. Clearly, that did not make a difference. He sailed to victory very easily. In his next term, Todd Young says he will continue to fight federal spending, and he says he also will work across the aisle, especially on issues involving Ukraine and China.
All right, Jenny, thanks so much. So that's the update on the U.S. Senate race. Now we want to keep a close eye on the congressional races that we're seeing across Indiana, including a battle in the northwest part of our state getting national attention tonight.
Yeah, let's go to District 1. That's when Frank Mervan and Jennifer Ruth Green, this is up in the northwest part of our state. Right now, it looks like we've got about 34% of the votes in, but incumbent Democrat Frank Mervan in the lead right now at 53%.
And that's with 34% of the precincts reporting. Now, let's move on to the 2nd District. Republican Rudy Yakum has been declared the winner of the 2nd District. That seat was held, as you may know, by Jackie Wolarski, who died earlier this year in a car crash. So again, Rudy Yakum winning in the 2nd District.
And then we're also looking at Congressman Andre Carson. He's winning another term in office. Only about 21% of those votes are currently in, but it has been called 66% going to incumbent Andre Carson.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
And then just hours ago, we heard Congressman Carson address his work to earn votes. Not only is he earning votes, but he's also working to earn trust across Indiana.
Elections, they don't happen on social media. They don't happen in ideological arguments over mimosas at Sunday brunch. Movements are not created behind computer screens. They're not just created when we're sitting at home, watching the news, hoping things will get better. They're created when we do the work, and you all have done the work today.
Congressman Carson there, and a new face is going to represent District 9. Republican Erin Houchin declared the winner in that race. 65% of the votes, over 130,000 votes there she received.
All right, let's take a look at the big picture tonight and show you how this election night is going to impact the makeup of Congress. We've got Dustin Grove in the newsroom tonight. Dustin's taking a look at the race's influence on the balance of power in both the House and the Senate. Dustin?
Yeah, Scott, and take a look at this balance of power. It was split right down the middle as of a few minutes ago. Now it looks like Democrats have 42 seats. So far, Republicans have 44. Republicans need to net just one seat. They need to gain one seat to get control. But look how close this is. A couple of really close races. Of course, you've got the states on the West Coast. We don't have those numbers yet. But look at Georgia. Look at how close that is. 49% to 49%. 1.72 million votes for Walker, 1.70 votes for Warnock. We're not going to know the end of that one tonight, or probably not even tomorrow. Also, Wisconsin tied almost at 51-49%. Let's go over here and take a look at Pennsylvania. This is something that a lot of people had been watching. Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and Dr. Mehmet Oz, 49-48%. So that's the situation in the Senate. House Republicans needed to net 5 seats. They needed to flip 5 seats to get power, to gain power in the House. So far, as of a few minutes ago, they were able to flip 7, although Democrats have flipped 2 seats across the country in House races tonight. So that one also too close to call as far as who's going to gain control of the House and the Senate. We're not going to know tonight, Felicia. Probably not tomorrow. We'll continue to follow it.
Too close to call, but we'll keep tracking it. Thank you so much, Dustin. The Republican candidate for Secretary of State, Diego Morales. He gave a victory speech in front of supporters about an hour ago. Diego Morales, the Republican there, beating Destiny Wells. 55% of the votes are in, 55% actually going to Diego Morales. Only 49% of the votes are in, yet he still is declaring victory.
I'd like to thank all Hoosiers who voted for me. All across the 92 counties. I'm proud to say that I visited all 92 counties multiple times. And I'm humble with their confidence to put in me. Thank you, my fellow Hoosiers.
He received a lot of criticism there, but he still pulled through. Races for secretaries of state have gotten more attention in recent years because of election skepticism. In an interview with 13 News, Morales called Joe Biden the legitimate president. But since 2020, he had been claiming the election was stolen from former President Donald Trump. Dozens of audits, challenges, and court cases have actually proven that to be false. Also tonight, the ballot counting, it's not over yet. Sierra, you've actually seen this process unfold for the last few hours. There's still work to do in the days ahead. What are you finding there tonight? It still looks pretty active. A lot of folks, volunteers still there.
Well, Felicia, what you're seeing right now are the last few ballots, absentee ballots, going through the tabulator for tonight. And it's key that you hear that I'm saying for tonight. That's because the poll workers here, they haven't finished tabulating all the absentee ballots. They had about 75,000 to go through. But as you see behind me, the workers, they're not taking those ballots out of those envelopes anymore. That's because about 10 minutes ago, you had people telling them to finish up what they had and to come back again in the morning. They'll be back here at 10 a.m. to finish counting those votes. And the votes that didn't get counted, they're going to go in this cage, and they won't come out until, again, tomorrow morning at about 10 a.m. We're going to send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Sierra, thanks so much. 13 News will have more results coming up later in this newscast tonight. And of course, you can monitor all of the races online. Just go to WTHR.com.